Thank you, Michael, and good afternoon, everybody. Carl, if you could go to the next slide, please. Yeah, so as a brief outline of what I'm going to talk about this afternoon, we'll start by looking at why we decided to start this initiative, what were the drivers for that, and how we envisage our information pack helping. Then I'll talk a little bit about what the pack actually is, how did we develop it, and who did we involve in doing this, where it is, and how we hope that you'll find it useful to use and be able to contribute to future versions of it. And then finally, I'll just talk about a couple of examples of our of what we've included in the pack and what we're going to be including and going forward with as we try and take this work forward over the coming years. And finish with a bit of a call to action. So we're asking people to please download the pack, as Michael says. In order to do that, you need to provide an email address so we can then, when we issue the next iteration, next version of the pack, that everyone who's downloaded it will be informed and will be kept involved in hopefully an ongoing and a growing conversation. So next slide, please, Carl. So why did we start this work off? Now I'm sure we're all well aware of the ongoing climate change issues around the world, and international efforts and international discussion and debate on climate action and the battle against the climate change that we're seeing around the world. Within the UK, our government has published our net zero agenda, and we have some pretty stretching targets for the whole of the UK to be net zero by 2050. Between now and then, within those targets, we also have targets for public sector buildings across the whole of the UK to reduce their carbon footprint and their emissions by 50% based on 2017 levels by 2032, and by 3/4 by 2037. And then the intent is that the entire UK emissions will be net zero by 2050. So that seems a long way away, but today it's only 25 and a half years from now. So that doesn't seem quite so far away when I think of it like that. In line with this, the MHRA in our latest corporate plan has included a corporate agenda target for us to deliver a sustainability strategy for medical products. So for the BP, being a part of the agency, looking at the work we do and the impact we can have on sustainability initiatives, fits entirely in supporting that MHRA strategy, which again supports the UK government's net zero strategy. We are very well aware that the BP itself contains many monographs, many analytical methods using lots and lots of different solvents, some of which are very environmentally damaging, like chloroform, for instance, and it's an ozone depleting chemical. Others are very toxic, like acetonitrile, and other solvents that are used routinely in analytical labs around the world, and also in our own laboratory. We also ship reference standards around the world. Annually, we will ship upwards of 3,500, some years maybe 4,000 shipments a year, and up to 40,000 individual vials are traveling around the world with all of the packaging, all of the fuel, logistical emissions and resources that takes. And one thing that MHRA as a regulator and BP as the pharmacopoeia know that we can also do is we can support and enable the people who use us, so our BP users and the pharmaceutical industry. And if we can help and enable the sector to be more sustainable and to use less resources, then we believe we can have a much wider impact than just the difference we can make within our own operations in the UK and our own laboratory. So there's a real imperative here, we believe, and the way we want the pack to work, and for our users to benefit from the pack. We're hoping that we have what you might describe as a ready-made community that we can talk to, we can influence, and we can support to improve our collective sustainability impact. Next slide, please, Carl. So what is the pack? Well, it's a document that we produced starting in 2022 and over the course of 2023. We brought together a number of interested parties that we identified as being active in this area, and sort of try to bring that expertise and experience together. What we didn't want to do, and this is very important, is we know that there's a lot of research and work going on in all industrial sectors and all pharmaceuticals, chemicals, petrochemicals, inorganics, all around the world, looking at different ways of measuring environmental impact and different strategies for impacting and reducing environmental impacts. What we did not want to do was to repeat other people's work or to reinvent the wheel. So what we've done in the information pack is to bring together existing published and very respected sources of information and definitions and ways of measuring and impacting sustainability, and brought those together in one place that we hope our users and our pharmacopoeia community can access, can use, and can benefit from. We've also included a number of case studies within the pack, and these are all specific to our pharmaceutical analysis world, but they include things like replacing equipment and reducing energy consumption within laboratories based on equipment, freezers being a very good example. Reducing the amount of solvents used by either recycling, recirculating, or reducing the size of columns and the dimensions and the amounts of solvents used in methods. Changing solvents and switching from more environmentally damaging ones to less environmentally damaging ones, and also looking at alternative packaging that we use to ship our reference materials around the world. And there are a number of key contributors to this. We had a number of organizations and companies that are active in this area, including not all of them, but the Royal Society of Chemistry were involved. Some pharma companies such as AstraZeneca and a company from Egypt contributed. My Green Lab organization, HPLC column manufacturer Waters, and also other more bio-focused organisations like Bioforum and the UK's Cell and Gene Therapy Catalogue, including our own BP commissioners and BP expert advisors. We felt this brought together a real wide range of expertise and varying viewpoints. And this pack was published in March 2024. You can find it on the BP website under the guidance materials section, and it's free to download. So please do go on the website. You'll need to provide an email address to register, but all that means is that when we update this pack and when we add further case studies to it, that you will get an email to tell you that, and you can get the latest version. And we've also established a sustainability dedicated email address, and we are hopeful that as this pack gets more used, that our users will undoubtedly have their own projects or or changes that they've made to reduce their own environmental impact. And we're asking stakeholders to send those in to us so we can include those as future examples in the in future editions of this sustainability pack. Carl, next slide, please. So I'm going to talk about two examples of work that we've done within the BP laboratory itself. And the first one is we've replaced our polystyrene packaging material that we used to ship our reference standard vials with a cardboard replacement. Now, for many years, the BP has used these expanded polystyrene vial packs, in which we ship up to 3 vials. And we identified that single-use plastic is obviously a quite environmentally damaging thing to use. So we wanted to switch away from plastic and move into a more sustainable solution. So during 2023, we looked at alternatives and we identified that the cardboard pack, which you can see on this slide, was a suitable replacement. We made the change under a controlled way. So we did some test shipments. We looked at the robustness of the cardboard box compared to the polystyrene box, how much weight it would take if you dropped it, if you put heavy weights on it. And we looked at the risk of moisture getting into the cardboard and how moisture resistant the cardboard was. We decided that it was suitable to progress. So in September 2023, we switched from our polystyrene packs to the cardboard one. And once we communicated with users this was going to happen, and we made the change, we monitored any feedback we got very closely for 6 to 7 months up until around April of this year. We monitored the feedback we got. We were very pleased to hear that we only got one query from a customer who was asking about the difference in packaging. We didn't get any major reports that this was causing damage to vials in transit, and we didn't see any uptick in queries around damaged packaging or potentially damaged vials after the change that was any higher than we previously had with our polystyrene packs. So we now consider the change is complete, and we'll be using these cardboard packs going forward. And the benefit of that is we've estimated that the carbon dioxide equivalent for the cardboard packs by weight is about 77 to 78% lower than the polystyrene packs. So there's a huge carbon saving there. And we can also obviously fit in up to 9 vials per cardboard box, whereas it was only 3 vials per polystyrene box. And our estimate is that means annually we'll use about half as many cardboard boxes as we would have used polystyrene one. And finally, cardboard is easier to recycle by the end users when you receive your vials, and you don't want to keep hundreds of these cardboard boxes around. So we consider that a real win-win-win change. We're very pleased with the impact that we hope this will have. Next slide, please, Carl. And then finally, Michael mentioned this earlier, and this is really hot off the press because it's been included in BP 2025, just published in July. And this is a new monograph we've published in the BP 2025 with the analytical methods based on validated HPLC methods for assay and for related substances. And what we've done in this instance, and what we will be doing in future monographs as well, where possible, is we've used the allowable changes within the chromatographic separation techniques chapter within BP to scale down the column, use a shorter, more narrow column, and then consequently reduce the flow rates and the injection volumes for the chromatographic parameters to give us broadly similar chromatography at much reduced solvent levels. It's important to mention here the method published in the monograph is using the longer column, and it is the method that has been validated and has got the full analytical validation and verification behind it. But the intent here is to demonstrate and to show to users that within the allowable adjustments and making sure that you're not adversely affecting the chromatography by making these adjustments, that you can remarkably reduce the solvent content and the solvent usage. So you can get this on the website in two ways. For our subscribers who access the pharmacopoeia, it appears in the More Resources tab on the monograph. And for those people who don't subscribe to the BP, you can find this by searching example test results on the homepage, and then you can enter your monograph name, and you get the additional information around the monographs, which is free of charge. So you can see from the table at the bottom of this slide, we were able to reduce the amount of mobile phase needed by 80%, and we reduced the runtime by 30%. So pretty significant reductions and savings. And you can see from the chromatographic parameters there that we got broadly similar chromatography, and all of the system suitability criteria were still met with a scaled method. So again, pretty significant saving there, and we will be doing this again in future monographs as we're elaborating new ones and updating existing monographs. So you should see more of these coming through with future editions of the BP. So I think that's all from me now. I'll just finish with a plug for the information pack for version 2. This example will be going in as a case study in the second iteration of the information pack. The change in BPCRS packaging is in the current one that's on the website today. But please do sign up for the pack, download it, and if you do have any great examples of significant sustainability changes in your own laboratories or your own operations, then please feel free to use the email address and send us some examples of those as we look to enhance and expand the pack going forward in future years.